Hello everyone!
Hi!
This is our first official DCP sit-down video. I hope y'all are very excited. We are about halfway through our DCP now, which is crazy to think about. So we figured that we'd sit down, tell y'all a little bit about how everything has gone so far, and talk about some things that we would have wanted to hear about.
Okay, so I work quick service in Magic Kingdom. I work at Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe, front of house.
I work in entertainment costuming at Hollywood Studios, but we figured that we would go ahead and just kind of start at the beginning of our program and kind of walk through. We have a visitor. Hi! Just kind of talk about our experience so far, and we probably won't go too much into our roles in this video just because we are going to do separate videos each about our roles, but of course that's part of the journey, so we will be touching on it. So where should we start?
The interview, I guess. That's the beginning.
I guess we could start there.
That was like half a year ago, so we don't exactly remember everything, but I do remember being terrified.
We were originally planning to film and post our interviews because us preparing for our interviews,
that's all we did. We just watched all the videos.
We literally
posting theirs.
The 2 nights before our interviews, we just sat on Zoom together and we just screen share other people's interview, and as soon as the interviewer would ask a question, pause and like have the other person
write down our own answer.
But besides going over videos like that, we just each got a billion note cards, and I put mine kind of like in categories. So I'd be like, whenever you're watching the videos, there's some questions about, oh, what would you do in this situation? And so I would just think of a bunch of those. At the top of the note card, just write in bold like 1 or 2 phrase words so I can quickly flip through them and then just write a good answer down. And obviously on the phone call, I wasn't like reading it straight off of there because that sounds ingenuine, but I would have like keywords and stuff like that.
Mine was less organized. I just had note cards and I would write down the question they asked in the video, and then I would write down my answer.
Okay, so the next topic that we're gonna touch on is move-in week.
The most nightmarish week of our entire lives combined.
It was a doozy. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. We both like were sure that we were gonna be self-terming.
It was literally just because within the first 2 days is when we felt like that. After that we were like, whatever. When I tell you that was a nightmare, it was a nightmare.
So we made the road trip down on a Friday, I guess. We left our house at 2 p.m. and it's about a 10-hour drive flat.
Took us more like 13 hours to get there.
I don't even know how, but
it was terrible. So we did not eat anything. We did not have money to eat anything. We both went into this very broke, which...
Oh yeah, money's a good topic.
That was... I don't think you need to have a lot of savings going into this, but if you can help it, have a little bit of money because you're gonna need groceries the first however long until you get your first paycheck. Your first paycheck is probably gonna be small. So just have money to buy like maybe bread and some lunch meat.
I spent only my money our first like week or 2, week and a half-ish until we got our first paycheck. And between the both of us, we spent like $300 to $400. So I would suggest probably having at least $100 to $200 depending on how you're gonna wanna spend that. Okay, so move-in is on a Monday, and then you have 3 free days, and then you have traditions on that Friday and Saturday, and then you start work that next week. So since we get paychecks on Thursday, we obviously didn't get anything at all that first week. So enough money to get yourself food, groceries, gas, all that good stuff for a good like almost
about 2 weeks, because even your money you get from traditions isn't gonna be a lot because you're only getting paid for 8 hours-ish. So it's not a lot. So yeah, we didn't have any money, as you can see, which that already made our life terrible. We just didn't really eat.
On our drive down day, we ate goldfish, and
we had snacks.
We had 1 tub of goldfish that we ate the whole ride down.
Like one of those big, you know?
And that's genuinely all we ate the entire day. The next day, which was move-in day, we had 1 meal from Chick-fil-A,
Thank you to our mother.
Yeah, she sent us money to get one meal at Chick-fil-A. That's the only thing we ate the entire day. And then we ended up going grocery shopping that night, and we were able to get sandwich materials.
Really going bare bones.
But basically, our lack of food and lack of sleep is what made move-in week terrible, because not only were we not eating, but you have to be up so early. Move-in day, you have to be at check-in. Well, people get assigned random times. I think they're between 8 and 10 a.m. But we had almost the earliest ones. We had like 8:30
or something. Ours were different actually, but
so we had to be up really early that day, and then the next day to get your park tickets, you have to be up there by like 9 a.m. I think. And so yeah, just expect to be miserable during your move-in week, but it won't stay that way, I promise.
I mean, maybe if you're flying, it's different. If you have like a 2-hour flight and you just get to go stay in a hotel and actually eat food.
That was bad, but something great that came out of move-in week was the friends that we've made, that we are still friends with to this day.
And let me tell you, we did not expect to make friends, even a little bit.
Literally not at all.
Like, we were thinking maybe we'd be friends with our roommate, and we said this to each other like the entire few months before we got there. We were like, oh yeah, we're not gonna make friends. We did make friends, actually. It was very shocking.
It was very
surprising. And we had to put ourselves out there a little bit.
That is so important, y'all. I can't stress that enough. We are both, she's a lot more shy than I am.
I'm the most shy person.
And I am less shy, but I'm definitely not the type of person that puts myself out there to make friends.
But okay, let me tell you the definition of putting yourself out there. Being in a single group chat and sending a message, does anyone want to go to Magic Kingdom with me today? And then those are the 3 free days. People are gonna be wanting to go to the parks with a rando. That's your time to send that message in that group chat, and then
do it.
One person maybe will respond, and that's all we needed.
So the way that we met our friend Caitlin, which you guys have seen in a couple videos now, she had texted, we joined group chats. So I actually found group chats through the Reddit page. There's a subreddit called Disney College Program.
Here's and a little picture of the whatever.
Yes, they post the links. People make group chats all the time. I know that there's already one for the fall of this year one, because someone mistakenly added me to that. But so yeah, we got added into a Snapchat group chat. I was in Facebook group chats. I was on a Discord group chat. I don't even use Discord. So on that first day, whenever we had our park tickets, Caitlin actually texted in the group chat and was like, hey, does anyone want to go to the parks with me today? And me and Lauren were like, this is our chance. We knew nothing about this girl. We saw her Bitmoji and that was it. And we were like, yeah. So we texted back and we were like, yeah, we would love to go. We were just about to go to Magic Kingdom if you want to come with. She said yes, and we literally became friends, still friends to this day. Like,
we're planning to go to our program celebration together.
Yeah, y'all see her in that.
May 2nd, and that literally we got here January 29th.
So
just those 3 days are very crucial. Very crucial.
And then the way that we became friends with our other 2 like besties down here, Chloe and Amari, is because Caitlin had met Amari in a different group chats. And they connected, and then Amari had met Chloe in a different group chats. And so yeah, so we met up with Caitlin the next day at Epcot. Caitlin was texting with Amari. They met up, and Amari had met up with Chloe, and so we all met up. And yeah,
just send a single message.
Also, we know some people that made friends by going to Making the Most of Your Program, which is a class that they have on move-in day. We didn't personally go to that because
we were so dead.
We went to go.
That is a question we had. That's not mandatory. You don't have to go to that.
It's not mandatory. So we didn't go, so we can't, like, technically we're not qualified to tell you whether or not you should go, but we didn't go and we made it just fine. But we do know someone that made a group of friends there because a lot of people were networking. So it depends. But yeah, talk to people. Whoever you're sitting by at Traditions, get their Instagram, try to be friends with them, whatever. Everyone we know that made friends the first week, that's still who they're hanging out with to this day. So make friends your first week, okay?
After that, it's gonna have to be at your job, but depending on your role, that could be easy. We're not gonna say it's always gonna be easy.
We'll get into that soon.
Yes, that can be our next topic, actually. Making friends at your job.
Okay, so as I said earlier, I work in entertainment costuming at Hollywood Studios, and my job does not have a lot of CPs. I could count on two hands the amount of CPs we have there. And specifically in my location, I could probably count on one hand the amount of CPs we have there. Most of the people in my job are full-timers, we have some part-timers, and most of them are older people. And so it was hard for me to make friends. I actually didn't even start making friends my first month there. I remember I made my first friend in like early March. She ended up getting recasted to merchandising. So then I was all by myself. And it was probably, wasn't until mid-March that I started, mind you, my first day of work was at the beginning of February. Mid-March is probably when I actually started like making friends, talking to people at work. And it wasn't until this week that I even made plans to hang out with someone for the first time outside of work. If you're in merch or food and bev, there's a great chance you're gonna have mainly CPs there, so you don't really have to worry about that. Everyone I know, and attractions.
Attractions is a really big place.
Caitlin is in attractions, actually. She's attractions at Magic Kingdom, and I know she's made plenty of friends. Yeah, there's some roles that's gonna be easier, and so that's a good segue into your job, because Lauren has literally bloomed like a butterfly down here. Or I guess flower, bloomed like a flower.
Not actually, but listen, I am still a very shy person, but that place, it is insane, but being insane means it also has a lot of workers there. I cannot tell you how many people work at Cosmic Rays. You can work front of house or back of house. Either way, you're gonna make friends. Specifically, I would say actually, I've heard people make friends in back of house, which is the kitchen, more because you get to talk while you're making the food and stuff. I wouldn't say don't dread it if you're back of house, but that is one plus side to if you get assigned a kitchen role. But front of house is where I am. There are a lot of older people there, but of course, there are a lot of CPs. There are a lot of people on their Disney college programs and on their international college programs. So a lot of people like around my age range, in the 18 to 23 age group. One of the things that makes it so easy to make friends is the way the job actually works, because basically you go into the computer and clock in and it gives you a place to go. So like it's gonna tell you, go to Bay 2 and be this person. And then this other random person's gonna be, go to Bay 2, be this other person. And so you get to be with like every single person, because it's just, you're randomly assigned to stand with this person for 3 hours at a time. And then the next, like in 2 hours, you're standing with 2 different people for 3 hours at a time. But long story short, I've made a lot of friends, and I think working in quick service, you're gonna make a lot of friends. And I, as much as I would not have believed this 6 months ago, I wouldn't choose any other role. Like, working in Cosmic Rays has actually been amazing. Even if you get a place where when you look up your role, everyone's saying this is the worst place I've ever worked at, you're gonna want to die by the end of it, there are gonna be pros, because that's exactly how it was when I looked it up. Like, I watched videos and everyone's like, yeah, so this is actually miserable, everything about it is terrible, I want to burn the place down. Like, I would not choose anything different. I've had an amazing time, and I have so many friends now that I, like, some of my friends have already switched roles, but I still keep up with them. Friends are easy to come by in something like quick serve.
And you talking about how you ended up liking Cosmic Rays a little bit more than you expected, I think that's a good segue to kind of talk about our roles a little bit. Like I said, we're gonna do full videos on each of our roles, but we can touch on a little bit there. I'm gonna be honest, me and Lauren, both when we were interviewing, said that we wanted costuming, which is what I got. So I got super lucky to get my top role, and then I regretted it. I did not like my job at all the first month. And Lauren, on the other hand, was literally, I won't say she was loving her job, because like
the job itself I didn't love, which now I really don't hate it. We'll talk more about it, but I wanted custodial originally, costuming custodial. Listen, when you watch the videos of people talking about custodial, it sounds fine. Side note, if you do quick serve, you're doing a lot of the things custodial do. You just can't touch biohazards, but everything else you're gonna be doing it anyway. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, so she didn't, like, obviously the work is really tiring, but Lauren was actually really liking it. She would come home and she would be excited and tell me, oh, I made this friend today, whatever, I had this interaction with a guest, and I was so jealous. Like, me in one of the really sought after roles, costuming, was so jealous every single day of someone in
quick
Cosmic
service
Rays.
worker at Cosmic Rays.
And now I've come to like it a lot more, and I love my role so much. But at the start, I didn't. So it's good to come into it with an open mind, because me, even as someone that got a really rare role for CPs to get, something that's really sought after, something that's really wanted, something that was my top role that I said in my interview, hated it. Like, literally every day, I was crying at work multiple times a day. I hated my job. I almost was like reaching out to people trying to get switched. I was gonna tell them I'll do the worst job possible. I'll do custodial in Cosmic Rays.
Not housekeeping, probably, but
I probably would have done that. That's how much I hated it. Genuinely, I hated it so much. And that was my top role. And Lauren, on the other hand, was
quick
still
service
worried.
was my worst nightmare.
That's the one thing that she didn't want. Like, even going into it, I almost said quick serve in my interview was one of my top 3. And Lauren was like, that's the only thing I don't want. She was like, I would rather do custodial over that, blah, blah, blah. And then she ended up loving it. So definitely keep an open mind.
I had to keep a very open mind, and it worked out for me.
Because roles aren't necessarily what you think they're gonna be. But yeah, about my role specifically, I am entertainment costuming in Hollywood Studios. Entertainment costuming is pretty much gonna be the same broadly, whatever park you're in, but it's mainly laundry. I do lots of laundry. Aside from laundry, you also do help set stuff up for people. That's as far as I'm gonna go with that. And you can also be put in different locations. So fun fact, you can work different shows. So you can work Fantasmic, you can work at Beauty and the Beast, you can work all different types of shows. I know someone that went to the Lion King show in Animal Kingdom, and those are really fun as well, because like with the Beauty and the Beast show, like you're helping with quick changes and stuff like that. It's a lot more theater based. Same thing with the Nemo show. And then there's also a lot of different like minor roles you can have, like working with different ones of our pals around the park. You can be placed in different places like that, which is really fun. My typical shifts are from 1:30 to 10. That's mainly what you're gonna have if you're a CP, if you're placed in the location that I was placed in.
Which her days are very uniform compared to mine. I have a different schedule every week, different hours. Her, like, she knows these hours, I get a break here.
It's very structured and routined. At the beginning of every shift, we get a paper that tells us exactly like what we're supposed to do. It's literally like a spreadsheet. Like, this time you do this time you do this, and you just follow your own spreadsheet. Like I said, it's very independent. I work by myself the first probably 3-ish hours of my shift, and I just follow my schedule, and it'll tell me when my break is gonna be, etc. And then at the end of the night, it's kind of just all hands on deck. Like I said, the last like 5-ish hours of my shift, laundry. You're gonna know exactly what you're doing the whole day, independent.
Same amount of days every week,
yes.
Which mine is too, but hers is.
Yes, we get particular hours as well. So as a CP, you get 4 days a week, 8-hour shifts. So it's 32 hours, that's it. You have to get approval to do more than that if you wanted to pick up an extra day, and they're probably gonna decline you because that would be an overtime. So that's really nice. And there are like typical shifts you can have. You can work the morning shift, which is going to be like 6 to 2:30, or you can work the night shift, which is 1:30 to 10. And that's like the main location that I'm at. There's obviously some variations if you get placed in different places. All my paychecks are the exact same every single week since I work 32 hours. My paychecks are $260 every week. So that's like how uniform it is. And obviously Lauren has a very different experience because her job is so willy-nilly. It's crazy.
My paychecks span all the way from around $300 up to almost $600, depending on the week. My next paycheck, which they tell you how much it's gonna be ahead of time, is $580. Let's see. Oh,
Split groceries evenly, guys. I'm about to start charging Lauren a percentage.
Listen, I have a lot of bills to pay. This week, I'm working 49 hours, 49.6.
Oh my gosh.
My last regular week, I worked 46.6 hours. The week before that, only 44. I was kind of real low. I think the lowest I'll ever work is 37 hours. Usually it stays around the 50-hour range, a little bit below 50.
That's another thing, is that I work 4 days a week. She works 5 days a week. And so that's like set for us. Every week I get 3 off days. She only gets 2 off days. I don't know why it's different for us, but that's just how it is.
And my hours can get very insane. This week I worked 2 12.5-hour shifts 2 days in a row. That was miserable. Being in Cosmic Rays from 12 p.m. to 12:30 is not a fun experience, but my paycheck is more of a fun experience than her paycheck.
It's worth it.
Okay,
well, I would...
Worth it? Almost.
It's worth it after the fact. Once you get home and you're laying in bed, you're like...
When your arms are in the most pain you've ever felt in your entire life because you're throwing trash in a dumpster for the entire day, you're not thinking about the paycheck, you're just thinking my arms hurt. But then right now I'm like, oh, I'm getting $500. That's not bad, not bad.
I will say my job is very labor intensive. That's something that I left out of mine. I would not have expected how much like arm strength I would have been gaining from this. I do a lot of lifting, a lot of pulling, a lot of pushing.
And mine too, actually, depending on the day, which for my role, it's gonna, like, you're gonna be doing completely different things every day. So basically how my job works, I kind of talked about this earlier, but you clock in and you press a get assignment button and the computer chooses just a random place for you to go. Of course, for me, it's front of house, but if you're in the kitchen, it's the same thing. It's gonna say, pick up anchor 1 or whatever. I don't have too much experience with the kitchen, but it's the same general thing. A few baseline things you can do. You can be a door greeter, standing at the door welcoming people in, pretty self-explanatory. You can be concierge, where you're walking around talking to every single table, asking them how they are. Those are terrible ones, specifically concierge, I hate. Basically, the point is, you get thrown in a random part of the restaurant and literally do anything.
And the tasks are so like vastly different.
Yeah, literally just talking to people for 4 hours, or 20 minutes cleaning tables, 40 minutes taking out the trash. So that's how my job works, like functionally. I actually get paid $16.75 and Hannah only gets paid $16. Most places are paid $16. I think it's only quick service in Magic Kingdom that gets paid $16.75.
Yes. Base is $16, and then like Lauren said, quick service Magic Kingdom $16.75. Performers get paid a different pay than us. I don't know the specifics on that. Housekeeping, or mousekeeping should I say, I think is $17.25,
which they really deserve.
$17.50.
They really deserve that. Oh
yes.
my gosh.
So yeah, there's a few like weird ones that are different,
but most of them are $16.
Are 16, yes. We have friends in... We have
Epcot food and bev, character attendant, attractions.
Yeah. Hollywood Studios food and bev.
All $16.
All 16. Me, entertainment, costuming. So yeah.
Which they've been changing that recently. They'll up the flamingo rent and up your pay, not at equal terms. Flamingo rents up here, pays down here, but by the time you're watching this 6 months from now, it might be different.
But speaking of Flamingo, we can talk a little bit about Flamingo/buses. So living at Flamingo is so nice, I'm gonna be honest. I have no issues with it. Sharing a room, not that bad.
We actually thought we were gonna hate each other by the end of this, because you hear so many horror stories about sharing a room. This divider makes more of a difference than you think, because either we're talking over it and just having a conversation, or we're being quiet and it's like we have our own rooms. We have heard some horror stories, like one of our friends had a roommate that had an aggressive dog,
that hated her, like
Which,
growl at her, bark at her.
Very quick aside, people were wondering a lot about my cats. Those are my registered emotional support cats. You can't have just pets here.
Yeah, she had to get a letter from a therapist and all that good jazz
because of my anxiety.
Yes, no pets in Flamingo housing, unfortunately. We know a lot of people that have animals with them, but they are emotional support or service.
Connected aside, there are pet relief areas if you need to bring your service dog.
And also, I will say, since we were talking about our roommate that had an awful experience with a dog, you can request to be placed in an animal-free room. When you're like getting your emails about if you need certain accommodations, like for housing, that is one of the accommodations. So if you don't want to be placed with a dog, have allergies to cats, whatever,
allergies,
definitely go in and say that, because they will place you wherever.
Unfortunately, our roommate is allergic to cats.
Is allergic to cats, yes. But yeah, Flamingo is nice. The apartment itself is really nice.
It really feels like you have your own room.
It does. And
until your roommate's alarms go off.
Oh yeah.
10 times.
Alarms
within 30 minutes.
is one thing, which obviously, I don't know, it doesn't really bother me. Like, I mess with Lauren a little bit about it because she snoozes her alarms like 30 times.
I can't help it. It's an actual problem.
But I know some people really hate that.
It is especially hard if you're working and you don't get home till like 2 a.m. like me some nights, and maybe your roommate has to be at the Polynesian Resort at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, that's gonna be hard.
There are times that Lauren will literally get off a shift at like 1 o'clock or something, get home at 2, and I'm working the morning shift. My alarm is going off at 4:30, which she usually sleeps straight through that.
I don't think I'm doing it all.
But yeah, that's is something to think about.
Which, not that you can really avoid that because you can't choose to just be by yourself, but if you're thinking about doing the Disney college program and you really think that's going to be a deal breaker, that is very, very possible.
Definitely consider living outside of Flamingo or not doing it if that's going to be something that's really going to be an issue. That's another misconception, is a lot of people think they have great chances of getting in a 4x4 or a 4x2. A lot of people say, I was really hoping for this, I was disappointed I didn't get it. There's a great chance you're not going to get it. 90% of the rooms are 2x2s. The only people we know that have gotten a 4x2 or a 4x4 have certain accommodations, and that's
even
mainly
us
who they give it to.
With like accommodations with the 2 cats, we are in a 2x2, so don't think that that's gonna really change things, because it's not. We have like light lamps beside our bed. Some people get annoyed by that because, I'm gonna be honest, if someone has that on, it does provide a lot of light to the room. Right now, this amazing lighting we have going is just the lamp.
Hang on a sec. That light is all just coming from Lauren's lamp on her side of the bed.
All of this is my lamp, and it's really like bright white in here.
The room is still pretty light, which I'm able to sleep through it because whenever you're right here on the other side of this thing, like it blocks direct rays of light, but the room itself is still pretty lit, as you can see. Hello, my name is Biscuit/Baby, depending on who you ask. So while we're talking about Flamingo, we're gonna briefly hit on buses. So buses, they have buses to take you to and from every place that you could possibly work on property. They have buses to every resort,
Disney Springs, every park.
Yep, the water parks, etc. They also have buses to take you to, there's a Walmart and a Super Target that's maybe like 20 to 30 minutes away from Flamingo.
Not by bus. By bus, it's a longer trip.
The route is pretty long because it makes a few different stops. But if you're worried about groceries, that's a great option. And
which I won't say it's going to be fun, because that bus will be full of people, all with their carts and their groceries. Some people will just be standing there with like 5 bags of groceries in each hand.
Wagon.
They don't have a seat on the bus. They're just holding them. Not going to be fun.
And also, in the same shopping center that the Super Target is at, there's like sit-down restaurants, fast food restaurants. There's a Five Below. There's an Ulta. There's all sorts of little shops and stuff over there. I know there's a Bahama Breeze, which people like. There's a Cane's, which me and Lauren ate up the other day. So that's also a good option for if you're wanting to do something more fun. That and Disney Springs. Those are more like less Disney-y type things. You go shopping, go to the movies. There's a movie theater at Springs. Stuff like that. There's also mini golf that you can get to with buses, like the Disney mini golfs. So there's definitely a lot of stuff you can do just by taking buses. We do have a car, but
we usually use the buses unless it's like, unless we're grocery shopping, which we don't really want to take the buses for. But like if we're going to the parks and stuff, we're usually going to take the bus because it's cheaper and
don't
easier.
have to pay for gas.
Yeah.
To and from work, we've only ever taken the bus. I have had Lauren drop me off at work once because I woke up 40 minutes before my shift, and then Lauren has driven to work once because she woke up like an hour before her shift.
Which sounds like enough time, but we will talk about getting to work by bus. Not as easy as it seems like it would be.
Yes, definitely. If you're not bringing a car or if you're planning on relying on the bus, give yourself time. You need to be taking a bus that's, I would say, between 40 minutes to an hour before your shift, depending on where you work, obviously.
I always pick like 50 minutes to an hour for before I leave. The Magic Kingdom route, depending on the traffic, usually when I go in, it takes about 40 minutes because you have to take one 30-ish minute bus and then another 5 to 10 minute bus. And that's going to be the same for pretty much anywhere in Magic Kingdom that I can think of. Even after you're on the buses for like 40 minutes, you've got to walk to your location. Mine is only a 10-minute walk to my location, but most places are actually like a good amount longer than that. So keep that in mind.
And then for me, I typically take closest to an hour I can get. So on my 1:30 shifts, I take the 12:40 bus. And that gets me there well before time. I know a lot of people that take the 1 o'clock bus and still make it there on time. So you're definitely good, but just in order to account for delays and stuff, because sometimes there is traffic. We know 2 people that don't have cars down here. They're doing completely fine.
And I mean, obviously we take the bus to work and
we even have a car, so.
I think my biggest problem is getting off work because they do not schedule enough buses. Because for me, I'll get off at say like 12:15 and won't be on a bus until 1 o'clock, and then I still have my 40-minute bus ride or whatever.
Yes. So yeah, the bus is totally doable, really convenient, and Flamingo as a whole, great. And then our final little point that we just wanted to talk about is going to the parks. Because I know that a lot of people doing the DCP, their main goal and want for moving to Florida is to just go to the parks 24/7.
Somewhere like me, I do not have time before or after my shifts usually, and even if I do, you're not always gonna end up doing that. You're not always gonna feel it. You're not always gonna want to, and you're honestly not always gonna have the time depending on your buses and stuff. Even on your off days, I only have 2 off days a week. One of those days, I'm usually going grocery shopping or doing something. We do get to go to the parks, as you've seen in our videos, but it's not all you're going to be doing. It seems sometimes like all you're doing is going to the parks. That's not it. And you know, I always heard the videos like, you work so much and you're not always going to be going to the parks. And I was like, well, but I will always be going to the parks.
I do like to go to the parks on a lot of my off days, but honestly, most of the time, if I'm like only have 1 off day, I work like 3 days before it, 4 days after it, I'm gonna be wanting to spend that 1 off day laying in bed all day. And I try my hardest to make the most of being down here and going to the parks a lot. So I try to go like once a week.
But you're so exhausted sometimes.
So yeah, we'll just say don't expect to be spending as much time in the parks as it looks like people are.
Small aside, it's gonna be very hard to find off days with your friends. Hannah and I, we never have off days together really. The entire last month, we did not have a single off day together.
Our friend group of those 5 girls, Amari, Chloe, Caitlin, me, Lauren, never, our entire program, have had an off day together. Not one single time. As for off days, definitely we recommend you to make the most of your program and try to go to the parks as much as you can, or do classes. I've done a class before and it was a really great experience. I went one day on my off day, and you can earn Masters and Goofy Diploma, all that good stuff, which is really fun. But don't We just don't want you to get your hopes up about thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be going to the parks every single day of the week. We wanted to get every single thing done, like all the shows, all the attractions, all the whatevers. We're not even halfway there. And we're like, just like we said, a little over halfway through our program.
You're not gonna go to the parks as much as you think you will. You're really not.
But yeah, I guess that was pretty much all of our points that we have. We're a little over halfway through our program. We've loved it so much. Yeah. And we would highly recommend everyone doing it.
We're thinking about doing it again. Like,
we actually extended our program a little bit already.
Yeah.
And we would both do it again after this too.
We really do like it. I know we've been complaining for like half this video because it is tough. We really have loved it, and we highly recommend it.
Anyone that's thinking about doing it, just do it.
We were so hesitant and we didn't
really.
We've been wanting to do this for like so long, since like middle school, high school. We've been watching all the DCP YouTubers and we're like, we're probably never actually gonna do it.
We never thought that we'd actually do it. And we randomly, on a whim, one day in October of last year, I called Lauren and I was like, hey, I think I want to apply. She was like, okay. We applied that night. And it's been like one of the best experiences in my life, to be honest.
And you're never gonna get to experience anything like this again.
And worst case scenario, you hate it in a month, then you term and go home.
It's not that big of a deal to term, honestly.
No, it's not.
The only thing it does is you don't get to do the DCP anymore at this time, like, and you have to wait so long before you can apply again. But other than that, like,
it's not
if you
that
hate
serious.
Just leave, honestly.
You literally just have to talk to your leader, say, I want to go home. Okay, da-da-da-da-da. You go hand in your keys at Flamingo the next day. No one's gonna judge you. It's pretty common. So,
Not saying we think you should term. We think you should come and stay and ride it out, even when it gets really tough. We have been blabbing for a long time.
It's been like an hour and a half at this point, guys. Seriously.
Hopefully this has been slightly helpful in some way. But if you have any questions, leave them down below. We're gonna make a huge Q&A video. We're gonna say this again, so you can be thinking of your questions. Ask them again later. We read all the comments, so say whatever you want, and maybe you can be featured in our incredible Q&A.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Like, I was gonna say, you don't know what it's like to work in cosmic rays for 12 hours straight, but that's just stupid. Of course they don't. Which I haven't. Okay, this doesn't matter. I have a lot of friends. What am I saying? I have a lot of friends. I haven't hung out with them outside of work a lot. This is. You go in, type your printer, and I was about to describe what a printer is. You type in your ID number, and you. This is really. It's relevant. It's relevant. It's relevant. So, I can see you out of the corner of my eye. So,
every single week, oh my gosh.
I was gonna pull up my hours each week. Unless you're getting naked on the other side. Oh my gosh.
This is.
Why are we just talking? Okay.
And yeah, why did I say that?
Well, my leg looked really unnatural when it came up like that.